The Sofia Gray Show. Hello, listeners and kinky friends. Welcome to the Sofia Gray Show, where we discuss all things sex, kinks, and fetishes. From the sex stories to the latest trends in the erotic world, we talk taboo transparently. This podcast is brought to you by Sofia Gray, the largest used underwear marketplace. I'm Lacey Bloom.
And I'm Tracy Bust.
And today, let's talk about feet. Or more specifically, the fetishizing of feet.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. So excited. Do you have a foot fetish, Tracy?
I don't have a foot fetish, but I love being with guys who have a foot fetish.
Really?
I know. I'm proud of my feet. I love my feet. I love the way my feet look. And so I love it when guys are into my feet. Oh man.
Oh my gosh. See, okay. So I don't have a foot fetish either. I am like weird about my feet because I wear sandals a lot and I feel like my heels get so dry. And
you shouldn't worry about that.
I know. And you know what? I'm sure maybe, somebody with a foot fetish would be like, no, bring it on. But I do love going to get pedicures though.
Yes,
so that makes me feel me and my feet feel super sexy.
Yeah.
So very basically what it all boils down to is a foot fetish is a sexual interest in feet.
I'm just kidding.
I know. Surprise,
foot,
right?
Foot. No, it says foot. It says foot. Got it.
Foot. F-O-O-T.
Oh,
foot.
so feet. Okay, yes. Foot and feet. Got it.
And we're not talking about the measurement system.
Oh, yeah. It's the thing on the bottom of your ankles. Got it.
That one.
Good to know.
And what this means is that a person might experience sexual excitement by licking, rubbing, tickling, sucking, whatever you might be doing with feet. It might even mean a person is sexually aroused by looking at images of feet and not necessarily even in a sexualized manner. What I found really interesting is that according to the Journal of Sexual Medicine, podophilia, which is the scientific name for foot fetish, is actually one of the most popular, if not the most popular fetish out there.
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like of all the fetishes we hear about, foot fetish is generally like the first one that comes to mind.
Sure. I mean, in my, experience, I've been with more people with a foot fetish than any other sort of fetish other than like BDSM, but yeah.
Right. And you know what? What's interesting is that there's really no official study that answers the question as to why so many people are sexually aroused by feet. Like why feet over any other body parts?
I mean, I think feet are beautiful. I for some reason when I doodle, I'm always doodling feet. It's very
interesting.
I mean, and I love shoes, and I know that's not like I love shoes. Like, and I know that's not. I know a shoe fetish is no way a foot fetish, but I love it when people touch my feet. I love it when people compliment my feet, and I think I also love shoes. So I think like. I love when people love my feet, I think.
Good.
Yeah,
I feel like there's got to be another fetish for that. Like, it's not the loving of feet, it's the loving of people loving my feet.
I think it's called narcissism.
Or it's a foot fetish.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just like, I like compliments.
Absolutely. Whether it's about my feet or my meatloaf.
Yeah.
That's what they're calling it these days.
Yeah, my feet are my meat. My feet are meat. I love it. Yeah.
Well, Tracy, you're already getting ahead of ourselves here.
I'm sorry. I got excited.
No, it's all good because we are going to play a little game. And this game is called Yes, Ma'am or What a Sham.
Okay.
And Tracy and I are all about bringing you the facts and weeding out the crap. And what better way to educate all of us on foot fetishes than with a round of factor crap, which at the Sofia Gray Show, we refer to as Yes, Ma'am or What a Sham.
I love it.
So I'm going to read you several statements related to foot fetishism. And if you believe the statement to be true, you'll answer Yes, Ma'am. If you believe it to be false, you'll say, what a sham.
Okay.
So I think you might already know the answer to this one. But number one, a foot fetish is the same as a shoe fetish.
I mean, that is what a sham.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
That's not to say that if you have a foot fetish, you might not also have a shoe fetish. However, they are not mutually inclusive or exclusive of each other.
Yeah. Shoe fetishism is actually the act of attributing sexual quality to shoes. So if people like boots and enjoy like using boots, that's a shoe fetish. But it's not
Right.
like, oh, I love going to DSW and buying boots. That's not a foot
No,
fetish.
no.
Or a shoe fetish.
When it comes to a foot fetish, I love this term, is that foot fetishism is about worshiping the feet.
Yeah.
Worshipping the feet inside of the shoes. Now, foot fetishism can be applied to feet whether they are wearing shoes or not. It is worth noting that, you mentioned shopping for boots.
Yeah.
I do love a good,
I love a
good boot.
Yeah.
Shoes tend to have this sexual connotation, I feel like, especially in Western culture. I know that several men I've been with have this fascination with or arousal by a woman wearing high heels, especially. And women also think of high heels, as like a power shoe,
Yeah.
a power something. It's important to make a distinction that doesn't necessarily mean that you have a fetish for shoes.
Look, plenty of men will admit that finding high heels or knee boots are sexually arousing when worn by a person, but that does not mean that they have a foot fetish. So while feet and shoes are closely linked in the realm of fetishes, they are not always mutually exclusive.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 2,
Okay.
someone on the extreme end of the foot fetish scale might enjoy foot gagging or stomping domination involving feet.
I'm going to say yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you are correct. When it comes to foot fetish, much like many fetishes, think of it as more of like a sliding scale of what one person might be interested in sexually. It might not be the same for somebody else. So some will feel the need to involve the feet during sexual encounters or masturbation in order to experience sexual pleasure. But that's not the same for everyone. Some people might find just looking at pictures of feet arousing. For others, it might be rubbing a woman's feet or watching pornography that involves feet. There's really no one size fits all.
Sure.
But yeah, when it comes to foot gagging, foot worship, or stomping domination, that's definitely going to be on the more extreme side of this particular fetish.
Yeah.
I have to say, I don't know if I've necessarily ever wanted to stomp on someone, let alone have them stomp on me. It does sound very powerful, though. Like, I can see where maybe if you're interested in also being dominated,
Yeah.
that might be a popular fantasy to have.
Yeah, I do think that like being held down by a foot is fun, but an actual stomp, I don't know if that's kind of my thing. But I definitely enjoy being held, like, someone standing over me and they're, putting their foot on my neck or something.
Yeah.
Obviously, not to strangle me or anything.
No,
but
we're
lightly.
of course we're talking only in a consensual way.
Consensual way, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about number 3? Foot
Okay.
fetishists believe that every foot is beautiful.
I'm gonna say yes, ma'am.
What a sham.
Oh.
Yeah. So just as when it comes to the different acts that a person with a foot fetish might be interested in, foot fetishes also have different points of attraction when it comes to feet and what gets them excited. One person might enjoy long toes, high arches, painted toenails.
Of course, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and
yeah,
then
absolutely.
Somebody else might enjoy small feet encased in socks with, a little heel. And obviously, we know when it comes to panties on Sofia Gray, some people also enjoy a little bit of odor.
Oh, sure.
A little bit of wetness, little sweat, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, of course, personal preference all the way.
Yeah.
Those with a foot fetish are generally attracted to feet because they resemble penises.
They do? That's a sham. Feet aren't penises.
Yeah. So, first of all, I'm not sure what foot looks like a dick. Like that.
Listen, guys, we gotta end right now so we can Google foot dicks.
Foot dick.
Yeah.
This was actually a point brought up by Sigmund Freud.
Oh, good. Thank you, Freud.
Right. And we know what a credible source he is.
Yeah.
But that was actually his reasoning for why people have sexualized feet, is because they resemble penises. But I have to say, I feel like when it comes to Freud, everything comes back to penises, like in one way or another.
Oh, of course. Because he's probably obsessed with his own penis. I love
Yes.
Freud. He's so interesting. But
Yes.
maybe he is obsessed with his own dick.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Which is fine. Yeah. He's the origin of penis envy in more ways than one.
Absolutely.
My point being, I'm closing my eyes right now and I'm picturing how a foot could look like a dick. This is going to keep me up at night, guys.
Well, and then when you throw in the toes, that's just where you lose me.
Yeah,
I'm like,
do you have instead of 5 toes, like 2 big toes on your foot? Guys, listen, I'm so sorry.
the things that keep us up at night.
Yeah. Besides getting fucked, but it's just like being.
What it all boils down to is if you are looking for a definite answer to the question of what causes a foot fetish, you are not going to find it. There is no clear-cut answer. Lots of different, scientists and sociologists have different ideas of what it might be. Obviously, there's Freud and his, weird dick theories. The Naked Ape author, Desmond Morris, thinks that it's a result of mal-imprinting at an early age, which basically is like calling it a defect in the behavioral process. I'm not a fan of using terms
like that term.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is, again, one of the reasons why we don't discuss fetishism as openly as we should, is because people have placed so much shame and embarrassment on it.
Defect is such a negative term.
Right.
And I know it's scientific, like it's different, defect means it's different from, the norm in terms of like observing something. But my God, we need to change our terminology here.
Which leads me to number 5. Having a foot fetish means you have a mental disorder.
Ugh, what a sham.
Absolutely.
That's terrible.
That is the biggest fucking sham of them all. While modern theories can't agree on what causes someone to have a fetish, the term for fetish is actually hundreds of years old. It comes from the Portuguese word, excuse my pronunciation of it, fetico, which means obsessive fascination. That's what I wish we treated it as. It was not this abnormality or defect, but this fascination. Like, how gorgeous is that?
Yeah, that's a beautiful word. I want to get it tattooed somewhere on me.
Yes, absolutely. So foot fascination, foot worship. And again, this is, not something to be ashamed of. It is not a disorder. There is nothing wrong with you.
No, of course not. Don't even think it.
There is nothing wrong with having a fetish or a particular sexual preference, a specific niche, except when it comes to, that this could endanger someone or be some sort of problem. So other than that, go to town.
Yeah.
All right, last one.
Okay.
A foot fetish is just a phase.
Huh. Well, it can be a phase because like fetishes change, but I wouldn't say that like, being into feet is just like a thing you're into. Like do you know what I mean? Like it's not just like, it's not like
I'm going through a phase.
Yeah, I'm going through a phase. I'm really into feet. It's not like, I have a cold and also like, I have a foot fetish and it's going to go away. No, I guess not just a phase, but it can be maybe. So
yeah, I would treat it more as like a preference as opposed to a phase. So it is what a sham. And that is because we really do tend to brush off behavior that we don't understand by calling it just a phase. We've definitely for years done the same with someone's sexual identity. So no, it is not a phase. It's merely a preference, and it might go away. Yeah. Fine. But that's not to say that it needs to, this isn't one way or the other.
Because you can have multiple fetishes and sometimes you're interested in this fetish at this time and in a different fetish at another time. Things change, you change and things go back, like there's so many things to explore, don't think.
Well, and talk about exploring, let's discuss how one can indulge in foot play.
All right.
So, to start with, if you search online the term foot fetish, hundreds of websites are going to pop up in your search results. I can see where it would actually be a little overwhelming by the amount of results that come up, because this is, again, one of the most popular fetishes out there. So if you are looking to, please excuse the pun, dip your toe.
Ooh, I love it. I don't need to excuse any puns with me.
If you are looking to dip those toes into the world of foot fetishes, don't be overwhelmed. Just, take the time to see what you might be interested in. And some of these might be subcategories or something associated with foot fetishes that you might want to explore. So those can include foot odor, foot jewelry. I know I'm a fan of the foot jewelry.
I love
like,
foot jewelry. Yeah.
remember when toe rings were like the hottest thing ever?
Oh my God, they need to come back. I love toe rings.
Right. When did toe rings go away? Like that, they were fantastic.
I know. I don't know when they went away. Oh, toe rings, come back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
toe rings. Oh, loved it. Foot jewelry, certain shoes. And again, foot fetishism and shoe fetishism are not the same thing. However, they are sometimes linked. So one may have an attraction to a certain type of shoe. Particulars about the feet. So like attraction to certain size, shape, long or short toes, the texture of the skin, foot treatments. I feel like I don't have a foot fetish, but this is where I would definitely want to explore is foot treatment.
Yeah.
So giving or receiving foot massages.
Oh yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things when I was seeing someone who has a foot fetish is the foot massages. They loved
So
massaging my
good.
feet. I loved getting a foot massage.
Right.
It was just like, it was such great foreplay.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And relaxing. And I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like if I dated somebody with a foot fetish, I would have the healthiest feet ever.
I know. I did have very smooth feet.
Yeah. Yeah. I need that. I
Yeah.
need that in my life. Now, again, these are just some of the common triggers for sexual arousal for someone who has a foot fetish.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that individuals might not enjoy other things about feet in a very specific sexually arousing manner. It's all about exploration. So besides doing some research on the computer to figure out maybe what types of foot fetish you're into, what different categories you might want to explore, there's some other things you can do to, try and figure out what works for you. We always advocate for reading erotica on this podcast. So you may read foot fetish erotica. I feel like erotica is something that is untapped by so many audiences.
Oh,
like,
agreed. Yeah. You can read it in public.
absolutely. That's the beauty of Kindle.
Yeah.
What I love about reading erotica is that it's great for people who don't necessarily want to watch porn, but who also, like you said, you can really read it anywhere. Like, I mean, I'm not going to be watching porn outside of the comforts of my home, you know, but when it comes to reading, I read on the train, I read in the office. Like there's untold opportunities there.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people think like, oh, well, erotica isn't as prevalent as porn. It's like, no, it's jaw dropping the amount of erotica that's available. Like, don't think you'll ever run out of erotica. Like, there's people writing them all the time. They're being published all the time, at least on Amazon and online. Like, that's what I love. Like, there's always something for you out there.
Yeah, that's the beauty of self-publishing. Just a couple titles off of Amazon Kindle that have been self-published include A Night with Her Feet and Foot Worship at the Movies.
Oh, I gotta read those. Those
right?
sound
I mean,
great.
so you can just see that there's going to be all sorts of opportunities for you to explore.
Yeah, and I think also foot fetish hashtags. You can search for foot fetish friendly hashtags on like Instagram. But be specific, because if you do like hashtag feet, like you're just gonna like get like feet.
Right. It's gonna be somebody's, toes in the sand at the beach.
It's like, yeah. And it's like little kid feet. No, sorry, I didn't read. But so be specific with your hashtags. Look, foot fetish community or foot fetish group. And those you will see very more specific things like dedicated to foot fetishes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I mean, with the beauty of social media and especially as we work our way into like dating apps, but sliding into somebody's DMs on social media, I feel like that's a major way people connect nowadays. So instead of exchanging naughty messages or nudes when you're talking to somebody, a potential partner maybe, you could even switch things up and ask for some foot pics instead.
I definitely have done that.
Why
just
not?
like, because there was like one time where it was like, my boyfriend was traveling and we were sending each other pics and he had a foot fetish, and then there was like all of a sudden I was like, oh, I should take a picture of my feet. Why didn't I think of that earlier?
Right, exactly. I mean, and it's the perfect way to, especially if you're just getting to know somebody.
Yeah.
It's the perfect straight up way to show what you're into. It's better sexual communication with this partner in the future. And you know what? It's kind of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
I'm all for a naughty pic, and a naughty pic where I can be like making food in the kitchen and snap a picture of my feet. I am all about it.
I mean, one time I was having like FaceTime sex with my boyfriend, and I just like was able to put my feet in it, and it was
You're
fun.
bendy.
I am pretty bendy. It wasn't FaceTime, it was foot time.
There you go. That's the way we do
it was. I almost fell over, but it worked.
Well, and Tracy mentioned this earlier, but when in doubt, foot worship.
Yeah.
If you're with a consenting partner, you can give some foot worship a try, and that might be a foot massage. It might be toe sucking.
Oh, I love toe sucking.
Or if you go all out, a toe job or a foot job.
And I will say it's very enjoyable. I love a foot job.
Right, for sure. No, I mean it's very fun. It's a very safe form of erotic play. So yeah, again, foot worship. It's all in the title.
Oh yeah.
Fascination and worship, my friends.
I know. I love the term worship and me, and like when it has to do with me.
Back to narcissism.
Yeah, I know. Listen, my fetish is myself.
So one thing to remember about foot fetishism is that it is healthy, normal, and far more popular than you think.
Yeah.
It should also be noted that as with all fetishes, there is a danger that the fetish can become completely one-sided, only serving one partner and not the other. So if you have a foot fetish, it's important to consider how you can pleasure your sexual partners while also receiving the stimulation that you need. So once again, I feel like the theme of every episode we have is communication.
Yes.
I feel like the best advice that we can offer is to be respectful of your partner and their needs. Pay attention to their pleasure as well as your own.
Yeah.
And honestly, just learn how to give really good foot rubs.
I know.
Because that's just like a win-win scenario.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For everyone involved.
I will say that. Yes. I will say that. Whether you're looking to buy or sell used panties, Sofia Gray has got you covered. If you want to earn some extra cash, you can set up your own shop in minutes and start selling your own used underwear. And they take no commission. You'll keep 100% of every single sale that you make.
If you've got a kink for used panties and you're looking to buy your next pair, look no further. And the whole process is completely anonymous. Sofia Gray will never share, store, or archive your personal information. The name Sofia Gray won't even appear on your bank receipt.
So head on over to sofiagray.com to start selling or buying used panties now. Until next time, I'm your host, Tracy Bust.
And I'm Lacey Bloom.
And we are here to say, let them be kinky. There's no kink shaming here.